Yeah, so whether you're new to ETB and want to know more, or you've been with us for a while, we are so happy to have all of you. Just some of our objectives for today is we want you to understand the purpose behind expanding the bench. Why did it happen? Who is it for? The purpose is our mission, our vision. We want you to understand a little bit about that. We learned some things. We've been doing this since 2018. Expanding the bench has been around since 2014. So in our stewardship of this initiative, we've learned and experienced some things. We also want to be invitational in this open house. We don't want to close the door and say goodbye. Hope you had a good time. We really want you to come back. So we'd like to figure out with you and help and think about with you how you might engage after your experience here today. So that's what we're hoping for today. And with that, Angel, I will turn it back to you to talk about our mission and our vision.
So thank you so much, Liz. So the expanding the bench, who are we? Why are we here? All of the good stuff. So I've been working on my elevator speech for the past several months, so let me know how it goes. But expanding the bench is an initiative that is led by Change Matrix. And the way that we work is that we are here to support diverse evaluators and funders of evaluation to get an understanding of the value, practice, and actually promoting culturally responsive and equitable evaluation ecosystem through three main kind of project areas or areas of focus. The first one is the people. The next is the practice, and the final piece is the field. And so as we engage and as we walk through today on some of these different levels, you'll hear us referencing these three different areas. And so when we talk about people, it's really centered on the work around the ACE Evaluation Network and LEAD. And then the practice is then inclusive of the work that we do with culture responsive and equitable evaluation. And then the field is encompassing of events like today and other activities where we're really looking to connect everyone who is interested or that works within that sphere, that ecosystem of evaluation, and who are committed to bringing culture responsive and equitable evaluation into their work. Next slide.
So at the heart of this work is relationships. I love this picture, by the way. Kim Harris looks so happy to see whoever it is that she's hugging. And this is just such a wonderful image that helps folks really understand the essence of who Expanding the Bench is. We believe that this entire work, everything that we do is supported by the relationships that we're able to not just create at places like GEO and GIH, but there are relationships that we're able to sustain and maintain and deepen over time. And what you'll see listed here are some of the ways in which we do that. So I'm just going to talk about each of them very, very briefly. Coffee breaks. This happened in 2020 when all of a sudden we couldn't be in person. And so we started to sponsor virtual one-to-one opportunities for evaluators and funders to get to know each other without the prospect of a job hanging over the conversation. We wanted folks to be able to be in relationship with one another, be in dialogue with one another, and learn about one another. And now we do coffee breaks a couple times a year. We had a launch event recently. We just are wrapping up the first round of coffee breaks, and another round will happen this year. They are free to ACE members. Any ACE member can sign up, and we ask for a contribution from funders to sign up. So we're just learning about how this round went, and we're in a continuous quality improvement cycle with coffee breaks. We do professional development with you haven't heard very much yet about our projects, ACE and LEAD, but each one of those communities sponsor professional development for their cohorts, for their folks. And embedded in that professional development is networking and peer support and thought partnership. So that's very much a part of our relationship, which is part of what the ACE Evaluation Network is, Advancing Culturally Responsive and Equitable Evaluation Network. Again, a network of people in relationship. Our LEAD program, again, you'll hear more about that in a minute, but in the LEAD program, there are different groups of people, alumni, scholars, mentors, and practicum site hosts. And the relationship between all of these different folks contributing different things to the entire cohort is really at the heart of all of these programmatic elements. So I'll toss it to Angel to talk a little bit about practice.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So you've heard a lot about lead, or you've heard us mention lead and ACE. And so breaking down a little bit more what each one of them is and how we focus this, when we're thinking about the practice of culture responsive and equitable evaluation and the ecosystem that it exists within and that it is trying to shift and work with to create these more equitable, culture responsive evaluation methods and practices. We want to support folks who are earlier on in their journey and their whether it's education or their CRE practice. And so it's both of the folks who are within that space of trying to explore either to grow their understanding of culture responsive and equitable evaluation, or they have a strong understanding of what it means and the importance of it, but they are just finalizing or finishing up their doctoral or graduate degree level or anything that comes within their space as they are starting to become evaluators in this world. And so the LEAD program, which stands for Leaders for Equitable Evaluation and Diversity Program, welcomes in, I think this past year we welcomed in 21 scholars to the cohort, and typically it's a group of between 14 to 20 individuals. And the interest continues to grow, the impact that we continue to hear from the scholars and the alum who have since completed the program continue to create such invaluable learnings for our own that we this past year actually completely revamped the curriculum to be more responsive to the current needs and the emergent needs that have been coming up within culture responsive and equitable evaluation. We continue to adapt this and move forward with the goal that eventually the lead scholars are able to join the ACE Evaluation Network, which are those who have more than 7 years of evaluation experience. Some other components of LEAD include different mentorship components where they partner up with ACE Evaluation Network members or other really seasoned and experienced pre-practicing evaluation folks. And then they also have practicum site work where they join different organizations to support different projects and help them develop how they're implementing their CRE practice into the evaluation. And then we culminate it all with a big celebration at the American Evaluation Association conference with our ETB gathering. And so as I describe a lot of these programmatic aspects, they all intersect with each other. And that is by design and with intentionality. Each one of these, we want them to work across each other and for folks to engage while creating this nurturing, safe, and knowledgeable space for folks to come together, which leads me to the ACE Evaluation Network and the ACE Evaluation Database. Both of these are ways that a lot of funders and folks who are in the evaluation space connect with individuals who are experienced and who have more than 7 years in practicing and implementing culturally responsive and equitable evaluation. We are currently at 108 individuals who are part of the network. We just reopened up the application. Dr. Knight mentioned earlier she was working to get her application in, which we love to hear. And we are hoping to welcome in a group of roughly maybe 10 to 20 folks over the next 6 months, at least from what we're seeing so far in interest. And then we have the ETB equity consultations, which I'll actually let Liz talk a little bit more about because I am not as involved in that yet. And I don't want to misspeak on what that is and looks like.
Oh, thanks, Angel. So ETB Equity Consultation is also an emerging offering that mostly focused on funders. What we heard from funders is sometimes they just need a little help with their thinking. They need some thought partnership around their thinking about their investment strategies. Something as even small as I'm developing an RFP and I want to make sure it's equitable. And so when we heard that from some of the funders that are associated with expanding the bench, we thought, well, maybe we could design an initiative or part of our initiative where folks from the ACE Evaluation Network could be available to partner in strategy and a strategy around an investment. Again, it could be very, very small, it could be very big. And the way that it's emerged at this point is that we have 8 evaluators, ACE evaluators, who are in relationship with us in this equity consultation group, and they can offer support to funders in 3 different ways. One is a 1-hour quick consult. You just have a quick question, you need an hour of somebody's time. So that's available. The second one is I need a half day. Now, it doesn't have to be the half of one day, but it's 4 total hours. And it's usually around a specific question about interview protocol or that how do I write an RFP or how might I think about focus groups. So that's a 4 hour, again, not having to happen all in one at one time. And then the third way this can happen is a full day. So a full 8 hours. And that's usually around a strategic question. So we are thinking organizationally or strategically about how to make sure that CRE is built into the way we're thinking about evaluation or even the way that we're thinking about investing in programs, because CRE has a way of making its way into every aspect of the work that our funder community is doing. That's what we're hoping for. So that's the ETB equity consultation. And maybe I'll just go on to talk a little bit about building knowledge, if that's okay.
Mhm.
All right. So you'll notice on this slide and the last two, we had building relationships, building practice, and building knowledge. Those are the three pillars of our field building efforts. So when we're talking about building a field, Angel talked about people and practice and field. So the people are centering those evaluators from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. And the practice is really around CRE. And the field we recognize is if we don't support building capacity in the field to understand CRE and intentionally partner with these evaluators we're centering, it doesn't matter what we do for the evaluators. We have to have a field that understands and is seeking to partner. And so these three pieces, building relationships, building practice, and building knowledge, are all part of our field building effort. And so some specifics around building knowledge are I am so happy somebody mentioned the CRE Learning Series, and having gone through it, I think it was Dr. Knight that had been through the CRE Learning Series. This is our hope is that this is available to everybody. We want CRE to be available to practicing evaluators from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds that we center, and frankly, anyone who's practicing evaluation. And this is the space where that can happen. So it is also in evolution. Like we have had people meet on specific dates before, and now we're trying to make it more asynchronous and available and appropriate to the extent that we can. So we're always looking for ways to make the work that we do as accessible and available as possible, because we want people to come and take advantage of it. And then you see here also the professional development piece, because we know we're all lifelong learners, and we hope that everybody in our ecosystem, everybody in our community looks to learn from each other. And so our professional development is both internal, so folks teaching other folks, providing professional development for each other, but also bringing in people from outside of the community to offer their learning. So building relationships, building practice, building knowledge, that's field building. And the ACE network is at the heart of all of this. So I know Angel said a few words about that, but I'm hoping he'll tell us a little bit more about what this ACE evaluation network is all about.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. In true angel fashion, I skipped ahead in my head as I was sharing in the other slide. But this is a deck that we'll also share with you. Also, you can access the links, access the information that's on here. And so that's why some of these slides are a little text heavy. But I will just mention here that it is at 118. I think it's at 108. So it's actually larger, which is great. And as I mentioned, these are folks who identify as an evaluator who are part of a racially and or ethnically diverse group, who reside within a U.S. state or territory and or a sovereign tribal nation, and who have 7 or more years of paid evaluation experience, and then knowledge and experience in culture responsive and equitable evaluation. We are always looking to ensure that the folks who are doing evaluation on the field and who are practicing CRE and doing this type of work are able to access the resources and the network benefits that come with it. And with that said, we're always adjusting and changing the way that we consider folks who are coming in, whether that is in the past, it was that you had to have a postgraduate degree in order to join, or to have a graduate level degree for you to join. And we shifted into focusing more on the evaluation experience and the work that they bring beyond the academic focus to broaden up the pool of folks who were able to come together. And then I also mentioned LEAD earlier. And so for the sake of time, Manny, if you could just go through that one. Liz, is there anything that you wanted to highlight on this?
Only that we have 20 lead scholars right now, and
Wow.
we hold on to these folks, maybe 19. We hold on to these folks. So we have lead who are lead alumni. This is very true to our community. We don't just introduce ourselves and then say, okay, see ya when they're done. We hold on to folks. So they are going to culminate at AEA. So if any of you are at AEA, look for one of those ribbons that you see on that slide, lead scholar, and ask them about their experience. The curricula has been redone. It's been done in-house. It's amazing. The mentorship is often cited as the most important thing that these scholars experience. And they're right now in their practicum sites. They're getting, and by the way, this is a bidirectional experience. So the scholars are supporting the learning in the sites just as much as the sites are offering an opportunity for learning for the scholars. So in some ways, this is still field building. So I know I took a few minutes there, Angel, but it felt important to say that about LEAD because it is part of who we are and part of what we love. So I'll move on to funders of evaluation real quickly. So ETB is completely supported through the generosity of our funders. Some of them provide grants to do specific things. Many of them subscribe to us through our subscription model. But this is a little bit different in that we want funders to participate in this work. We want them to come and be in partnership and with our evaluators. We want them to promote CRE in their own institutions. The folks that we interact with in philanthropy are often the learning officers, learning and evaluation officers, and they can, from our ETB community, bring their learning into their institutions and advocate for a more CRE-focused way of doing their work. So we're their advocates, they're learners, they're financial support for this, and they're also helping us think about how do we get farther and farther into the philanthropic community. And Dr. Knight, I would be remiss if I didn't say that we're hoping we really want to be in the federal space too. We've dipped our toe in that water, and we work at Change Matrix in federal spaces in our TA centers, and we are promoting culturally responsive and equitable evaluation in those spaces as well. So our funders both use our services, they're part of our community, and they are excellent financial support for us. We can keep these services and supports free for evaluators from these diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds because of the funders. So I just really want to let you know that these are an important part of our community and they're great partners in this work.
Thanks, Liz. And so we have two final things of kind of that we wanted to raise up to share as part of this kind of area that we're on right now. One of them is the CRE Learning Series. Again, Elizabeth mentioned some of the changes and shifts and what it is, and it is currently open, and folks are able to register and join. It is now a completely self-sustaining platform. Well, not self-sustaining. I don't know what the word is. Before we would have to like send out emails with all the other things and people would get them lost and it would go into people's spam box. And we have upgraded is what I meant to say. So it is Unteachable, which hosts and holds all of the information, the content, and has discussion boards and opportunities for you to interact with the learning guides and with other learners in that space. And if you're interested in that information, it is on our website, and it is also towards the end, or we will share it afterwards with that slide. And then we are also working on work with culturally responsive Indigenous evaluation. This is a term that was coined by ACE Evaluation Network member and all-around incredible human, Dr. Nicole Bowman, or Dr. Nikki Bowman. It is a conversation that we've been having over the past several years on how do we bring attention and elevate the work that is being done in the Indigenous space and with Indigenous folks at the center leading this work. And so we started last year with a session with Dr. Michelle Jacob on the work that she is doing within the Yakima tribe and in the space of her people to bring together and share the stories of their own community and learning and realities in the space of where they live into the ETB space. And so we had an open access event. It was really well attended. Folks loved it. We continued the conversation, and now we're here today. And so we are moving forward with a continuation of that conversation. And so we are so thrilled and honored to be part of Dr. Jacobs' pilot project, which is centered on the research, evaluation, and learning, and how to be a good relative. And so as we're coming up in the next month to discuss it, we will be having some incredible storytelling take place with her and another elder who she is bringing onto the conversation as well. We are always looking to explore different ways that we can really increase our own learning and understanding while centering and working to elevate the voices of evaluators and people like Dr. Jacob who are doing such incredible work on the field. And so in addition to that, we are also looking to do some of these additional areas or some different additional components here. So next slide, so we can move on to what we're here to talk to you about, which is not this one. So one more, I'm sorry.
So
The who is ETB for? And so I think that the ACE database kind of intersects with this piece right here. So with ACE or within expanding the bench, we offer a lot of programmatic elements that are very specific to different different groups of people. And we do that by intention because it's meant to create a safer space. And then we also, and a space for folks to collaborate and share the realities of what's going on. But then we also come into this space of co-creation, community, partnership, relationship building, where we all do come together in this space. And so expanding the bench is meant to bring together evaluators who identify as coming from a racially and ethnically diverse background. And we invite you all to join us and be a part of the ACE Network, but also join us in creating a space where we can connect and build CRE practice, both in how you are implementing it, but how as the field understands it as well. And one way that we do that is through the ACE database, which is part of our website, and it's a slide that again will be included in here, but it's really easy to navigate, and you are able to search and look up different evaluators from different places that is based on geographic area, level expertise, the type of organization that they offer, that they work in, the type of evaluation methodologies that they use and have experience on. And it is one of our most popular and accessible things on our website. We are also looking for evaluators who are wanting to commit to CRE and wanting to expand that knowledge and in that space. And so that is what we do in the work with LEAD, which we mentioned earlier. And then we also have that CRE Learning Series, which is, again, a one-step, I think. It's different than the LEAD practicum in that it is self-paced, it's asynchronous, and it is really meant to give you an introduction of the foundation of what culturally responsive and equitable evaluation is. Liz, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you said it very well, Angel. I think that we are maybe moving towards what can you do. So let's talk a little bit about what you all might do to be a part of our community. First of all, you're here, so that's a good thing. Second of all, Angel talked about the CRE Learning Series. He also talked about the Evaluator Database. So if you are somebody who would be partnering with an evaluator, this is free to you. So that's the other thing is it's open and free. All you have to do is register as a funder. So if you're running a nonprofit, if you're part of philanthropy, if you are an evaluator looking to partner, you can use the database for that too. So sign up and use it. This is way down the road, but think about being a practicum host site for the next cohort of LEAD scholars. We can post opportunities. So if there are opportunities for jobs, funding opportunities, any kind of professional development resources, we have newsletters. We have a communication strategy to make sure that our community knows about all the amazing things that are going on. You can post those with us, and we will get them out in our Bench Remarks newsletter. Also, keep an eye out because we are recruiting for coffee breaks in November. So in the fall, when we've all cooled off, look for an email about coffee breaks. Subscribe to if you are a philanthropist or interested in supporting ETB financially, you can sign up for our pricing model. Also share opportunities with ACE evaluators through our website. There's lots of ways to do that. If you are a racially and ethnically diverse evaluator, apply as a lead scholar for our next cohort that will come in 2025. And as we heard, Dr. Knight is already applying to be an ACE Evaluation Network member. So if you know folks who qualify, if you qualify, we welcome you all. We think that would be an amazing opportunity to expand our bench with your involvement. What's next? Like what comes? So hang out with us. Come be with us. Come back to our house. We at any time are happy. We love talking. You can tell we love talking about this. We love expanding the bench, and we're in this space of just ambitious innovation because we really believe that evaluators can change the world. We really believe that. We really believe that what evaluators do is they help us understand what people are really doing. They help us understand effectiveness. They help us understand value. They help us understand change. I mean, that's a big deal. So when philanthropists are saying, "Hey, I want to see a change in this community," we're saying, "Okay, let's talk about what that's going to look like from the community perspective. Let's talk about what that's going to look like for people that are really going to be the most impacted. Yay, you're investing, but let's make sure that this is driven by the people most impacted." And evaluators help you do that. It's not just about coming on at the end. And so part of this work, even with some of our funders, is starting with, okay, why evaluate? And most of them are there. And then why evaluate from a culturally responsive and equitable standpoint? A lot of them are there. There's work to do, though, and expanding the bench wants to be a partner in doing that work. So we will always be shifting and changing and emerging, and our team gets a little tired of us, but it's okay because what we're hoping to do is meet the needs of real social change for the purpose of equity that is focused on equity. So we are eager to have a conversation with you about how you can plug into this community. We are eager to meet up with you if you have specific questions, if you want to hear more about any one certain part of the project or the initiative, if you want to talk about partnership. Really, there's nothing we won't talk about. Well, there probably is, but nothing that I can say here. There's not a lot that we won't talk about. As I said before, we are going to be at AEA. As Angel mentioned, the ETB gathering happens there. It is going to be a different event this time because we have some partners in that. So it's going to be bigger. It is going to be open access, and it is going to be a party. So if you were going to be there and you like to dance and you like to eat and you like to do art and you like to meet people who are in a community and you're in Portland at AEA in October, please make sure that you notice on Wednesday night, we're hoping for, that's hold that space for us. And we'd love to see you there. So Angel, anything in closing for you?
No, just so grateful to be able to be in this space and to hear so many different voices and the work that you're doing. And Dr. Chan, what you mentioned about wanting and hoping to have something like this earlier on in the career, I so resonated with that. I remember my early years in academia trying to navigate spaces and trying to understand like what the realities were, and it took so much time and energy of basically having to recreate what so many of us have had to navigate and be in this space with. And I see so many folks being in community and in relationship within expanding the bench, and growing together and building relationships and camaraderie with one another because of those types of similar experiences. We all have very unique ones and very different ones, but it is so I don't know if it's empowering, but it's so warm to be able to resonate with other folks who have gone through and experienced what you've experienced and see how everyone's perspective changes based on their own lived experience. And so we just want to say thank you. And with the final few minutes, if you have any other questions that you might have, please let us know. And if not, we look forward to connecting with you all in the future. And we'll follow up with the PowerPoint and the recording so that you all can access those as well after this session is over. Any questions or anything else from anyone else? Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure getting to be here with you all.
Pleasure. Tell your friends. Send them the recording.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone.